For more on this, joining me live in the studio is Senior Fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, Anthony Ruggiero. Anthony, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So it's been 3 months exactly since the Hamas attacks. What is your assessment of how the military operation by the Israelis is going?
Well, they're trying to push back on Hamas, and as Trey noted, they're also getting attacks from the north from Hezbollah. And I think Secretary Blinken is in the region trying to de-escalate and suggest that the Israelis should de-escalate. It's really about Iran. I mean, that's the missing piece here, where Iran is moving all these pieces on the board. Yemen, we didn't mention that. Yemen is attacking ships in the Red Sea, and Iran is expanding its nuclear program as well. So it's less about de-escalation for Israel, and it's more about Biden should be in the region talking about how they're going to roll back Iran as the patron and the proxy of all these groups.
Israel's president spoke about the situation today. Let's play it.
When you have an empire of evil emanating from Tehran with arms in Syria, in Lebanon, in Iraq, and in Yemen, which increases the cost of living of every American because of hijacking in the high seas, it means it's a regional battle with impacts on the entire global situation.
How is the Biden administration's response to Iran at this point?
Well, it's mostly appeasement, and that's unfortunate. The Biden administration wants a nuclear deal with Iran. That deal is really off the table, even if the administration doesn't want to admit that at this point. The administration, the things they should be doing, increasing sanctions back to where it was in the Trump administration and hitting back at Iran directly and its proxies, not hitting things where the administration knows will have minimal impact. They can have an impact on strikes in Yemen, in Iraq, in Syria, and elsewhere, and they can telegraph to the Iranians that if it doesn't stop, there might have to be strikes inside of Iran as well.
So let's dig into that a little bit. What more could the president and the Pentagon do to show the regime in Tehran that we're not messing around?
Well, I mean, this is where, Secretary Austin and that whole controversy that's developing here is so troublesome that, we have to know more about what was going on there. And is the administration including the civilian leaders at the Pentagon in some of these conversations if they didn't know that the secretary wasn't even, on duty? The strikes that they could do against the Houthis, they can do much more rather than just monitoring the area in the Red Sea and elsewhere. You see, everyone's seen the maps where the shipping routes are going all the way around Africa and avoiding that entire region. That just shows that that's a failure of this administration to keep that waterway open. And then the real conversation they need to be having internally with senior civilian leaders at the Pentagon is, should there be strikes inside of Iran? No one wants to go that route, but it might take that to restore deterrence with Iran, because right now Iran is pressing and pressing and pressing. They have been since October 7, and the administration's response has been woefully inadequate.
To that point, we've seen more than 100 attacks on U.S. troops stationed in Iraq and Syria. Now we've got these attacks from the Houthis on shipping, which could have an impact on the global economy. So it makes you wonder, what would it take for the administration to do more?
Well, that's right. I mean, it sounds like in this scenario, the only people with a plan is Iran, and they have been moving up their escalation ladder and thinking that at some point the U.S. would respond, attacking U.S. troops, attacking shipping in that area. But at every turn, we have not, or we've responded with really minimal responses, the bare minimum. And right now, the administration wants to avoid what they're saying is a larger, wider war. They're already in it. And so for them, it's about restoring deterrence. It may take significant strikes to get us back to that point, but the administration has their own selves to blame for not doing anything really significant since October 7.
So Secretary of Defense Austin is out of intensive care, but still in the hospital. Your thoughts on that and the lack of communication to other senior officials, including the president, until days later?
Yeah, I mean, I worked at the National Security Council. I mean, in the Trump administration, this is shocking. I mean, of course, wish the secretary a speedy recovery.
Sure.
But to me, it's clear that he cannot come back in that position. I mean, he made a colossal mistake here. more and more that comes out, I think he either has to resign or the president has to really ask for his resignation and then move forward. I'm also concerned that the White House didn't know or didn't ask where senior leadership in the Pentagon was for an entire week. That has implications for civilian leadership of the military, and I hope those questions will be asked by Congress in the coming days on both sides, Republicans and Democrats, because that's a significant question.
So the Secretary of Defense was in the hospital, his deputy was on vacation, and nobody here at the White House seemed to know about it.
Right, didn't ask questions. There weren't any, why is the Secretary not joining this meeting or things of that sort. That suggests perhaps that there's a problem with, the White House not reaching out to the civilian leadership there.
Anthony Ruggiero, thank you very much for your time and your analysis today.